Joe Biden is once again talking about um, widespread student loan relief. And as some of you may know, this was a major campaign promise of his when he first ran for president. And so he's been, talking about it, not really doing anything about it until recently. Now he's saying, he's finally going to do it. And he's going to forgive, like, not everybody's debt. Not everybody will qualify for this new debt relief, but millions will. And so I guess time will tell if this incompetent person, I won't even call him, still won't call him a president, this incompetent person is actually going to follow through with his plan. But it seems like so far he is. Now, before I get into this video, I I just want to say that I'm not going to be talking bad about student debt forgiveness. I do have a lot of things to criticize about it because there are some major concerns about, like, just the whole just what it is and what it means. There are some, like, issues with doing this, with implementing something that large scale like that. Um, like, it is really expensive, so I'm going to get into that. But personally, as a student, as a college student, I plan on applying for this new program and benefiting from it. But I'm not going to say it's all bad. Uh, I mean, it might have some benefits, but, like, for the most part, I don't think this will benefit the economy. It may benefit, like, students, but as for the economy, this could have a negative impact on that. So that's what I'm going to get into. I'll also be referring to another source that I've been using, the Congressional Budget Office, CBO.gov, for some numbers that I researched. So let's just get into, like, how this started. I was watching this interesting video some months ago talking about, like, why college is so expensive, and in that video, it was and for all these videos, for all my sources, by the way, I'm going to be providing links for those. Um, but it was saying something interesting, like, about the history of, like, how the debt got to be, like, really bad in this country. It was saying something like, taxpayers, they used to have to, like, like in the 1980s or somewhere in that period, they had to, like, pay for like people's student loan debt. And then after the taxpayers started rebelling against that, then there was laws changed to shift that burden to the student. So now the student carries that burden. Now they have to, pay their own way through college. And yeah, so, well, that's not a main reason why the debt has, um, gotten so bad in this country. Of course, there's other reasons, like many people are defaulting on their loans, which means that they're not paying it right away. They're putting off paying it until they're able to make payments. Some people aren't paying at all. Uh, College, of course, is getting more expensive, so many borrowers are taking out more money. And the more money they take out and don't pay back, then that just adds to the national student loan debt. So there are a lot of reasons that the student loan debt is an issue as today. And um, right now it's at $1.7 trillion, the student loan debt. And Biden so far has paid for $25 billion of that debt. And so, yeah, this is an issue in the first place because people are taking out more than they can pay back. And so yeah, so although Biden has paid for $25 billion, has taken like wiped out $25 billion student loan debt. Um, that's just like a temporary fix. The only the only long term solution to this is if like like what they're doing now, instead of like waiting for it to get this high, this should have been addressed such a long time ago. And the government should have ensured before saying, hey guys, we're going to start paying your debt. It's going to be okay. We're going to get this debt under control. We're going to get it reduced. Instead of doing that, because like I said, what I'm going to get into later, this is, they have to consider the negative effect that that will have on the economy. They can't just, focus on the negative impact it's having on the students. And student loan debt, I mean, in and of itself is having a negative impact on the economy. I understand that, but there are also, implications for negative implications for forgiving student loan debt in this large of a scale. We're talking about like millions of people, trillions of dollars, or billions right now, and he's supposed to forgive even more, so it could go even higher than that. Um, so yeah, the government in the first place should say ensure that, well, they should say they're not going to pay anybody's debt until this debt is reduced on its own by people, like paying their debt. And once it's reduced to a certain amount, then the government can pick up um, the other slack, the um, the remaining portion, and and pay it off if that's what they want to do. But the government shouldn't be paying. Um, they shouldn't be paying most of the portion of the student loan debt. It should be the borrowers, not the government. Um, because if the borrowers did it, it probably wouldn't have like it would probably have less of a negative impact on the economy than if the government did it. Because if the government does it, um, it's coming out of their wallet. So I don't know. I really don't know how that works. I don't know how like the economics of how the government like cancels student loan debt. Like I don't know where they get the money from if they borrow the money. I don't know. Or if they just print the money, which is also a problem. So yeah, if the government has to do it, then it's worse than if the borrower themselves does it. So yeah, the government should first, make sure a good portion of the debt is paid off by the borrower. Then, if they want to, they can pay the remaining portion. So then it doesn't, and then they have to make sure it doesn't escalate again to like the uncontrollable levels that it is now. If they just nip this in the bud when they were starting to see it was a problem way before it reached $1.7 trillion, we most likely would not be in the mess that we are today. But of course, that didn't happen. Um, so actually, while I'm on that topic, let me just get into like some of the negative impacts that I said could have on the economy if student loan debt relief is put into place. Now, like I said, I'm not an economist, but we're going through inflation right now, and of course, it's affecting everything like college and food, gas, cost of living, all of that. Um, so now, if the I don't know, that could make inflation worse, like the government taking out or printing out or however they're going to like pay off the students' debt, that could make inflation worse in the future. And then also there's always the question, like, when it comes to like socialist policies, is who's going to pay for it? Um, is it going to be the taxpayer? Is it, going to be, you know, the taxpayer? Because there's right now it's the government, but in the future, people might have to be paying all this money back. So that's also an issue. So yeah, that's yeah, that's the. So going back to, we need to get to the root of the issue, and that's how we're going to like figure out long-term solutions, and it's not temporary solutions, because we don't know. I mean, this could happen again. The student loan debt could climb to like ridiculously high rates again. We don't know when the government is going to like, offer to pay everybody's or most of everybody's debt again. And, if they don't, and if the bar more importantly, if the borrowers let this get to um, let this get to let this become an issue again, or let the debt climb higher than what it is now, then we're going to be in an even worse situation than we are now, because we're not getting to the root of the issue. The government's just focusing on free college for all and cancel all student debt, but they're not taking consideration other things, like, what about the economy? What about who's going to pay for it? What about if this happens again? What are the borrowers going to do? Like, what are borrowers doing to take responsibility of the student loan debt? Things like that. Those are important questions to ask when facing an issue of this scale, because this is just, such an um, expensive problem. So let's go into the cost of this plan. Now, according to the Congressional Budget Office, that was the source that I was citing earlier, they're saying that this could cost, I think it's $400 billion. Yeah, the CBO estimates that the cost of outstanding student loans to the federal government will increase by about $400 billion because of executive action canceling some debt. Okay. The cost of outstanding student loans will increase by $20 billion because an action suspended payments, interest accrual, and involuntary collections from September 2022 to December 2022, the Congressional Budget Office estimates. That present value cost is relative to the amounts in CBO's May 2022 baseline projections. So yeah, as you can see, this plan is very expensive, and I don't know if they're going to do this. They just need to make sure that it's worth working, because they're already promising that they're going to do this. So I mean, to go back on the promise, it would be you know anti-productive. But they certainly didn't go about this the right the right way in the first place. This should have been addressed a long time ago. Uh, so yeah, if I'm reading that right, it's costing the government $400 billion, and that number is expected to climb because now he's talking about um, uh, these applications to forgive. He's expanding the groups of people um, that he wants to forgive their loans, and these applications open up this month, actually, sometime this month, and they're saying 8 million people qualify. I just read another article recently that uh, something about if you have private, some people are being disqualified. So if you have private student loans, then those people are no longer qualified for this debt relief program. But yeah, other than that, uh, close to 8 million people do. And yeah, you multiply that by however many, however much debt each borrower has. And I think the average debt that the college student has after graduation is $25,000. So yeah, so just put all those numbers together, think of those numbers, and then if you're a borrower like me, I'm thinking about these things. I try to, when I take out loans, like I never thought that I would have to take out student loans. I don't know why. I just thought that because I qualify for scholarships and financial aid. So I just thought that that would be enough for me to get through college without taking out loans. So when I had to realize I that it wasn't enough and I take out loans, I'm like, oh man, like because I like know the horror stories of what these students have to go through, and I just never want to get I just never wanted to deal with that or just get involved with that. Um, but I did. But luckily, I don't owe like $25,000, or I don't owe like thousands of dollars. I mean, I don't owe like a ridiculous amount of student loan debt, but I still do have student loan debt, and I am going to try to get the most out of Biden's program. But like I said, it could be problematic in the future. Not right now. Like, everybody's going to be happy that we're getting rid of the debt. We're starting to get rid of it. And, like, students' lives are easier. But, like, we need to uh, focus on the possible negative consequences that this may have on people and on the economy in the future. And like I said, doing what we can to not let this escalate to the levels that it has now again in the future. So, but yeah, as personally, I try not to take out a lot of money when I'm, borrowing from the government because I don't like to owe anybody any money. But, especially like I don't like to be thousands of dollars in debt. So, yeah, I do what I can on my end to not take out more than I have to, just enough to get me through my classes in college. But yeah, I do plan on benefiting from this. But yeah, that's what I have to say about this this new student debt relief program. And hopefully we can all learn from this issue and moving on, uh, create ways to not get in this situation again. I just, can't stress that enough. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know on an individual level, I'll be more conscious of that. Although, if I have to take out loans, I can't really help that. But I am still taking a break from school. I don't know for how long, so I won't have to, worry about that issue uh, for a while, but still on the grand scale, it'll still it'll still be um, on other people's minds who are in school or are planning to go to college.